not to proceed that day, I referenced the original email to St. Clair. In response, a member of the administration team came to my classroom, visibly upset, and told me I was not the educator they thought I was, going so far as to threaten my position. I asked if I should have a union representative present, and they agreed, stating they would also bring representation. This left me emotionally distraught and unable to continue teaching that day. I contacted the office and a substitute was arranged. I felt deeply discouraged and disrespected by this exchange, especially given that I am simply following the instructions provided. The following week, while preparing to leave on paternity leave, I was asked to schedule a formal evaluation, a request that could have been made at any time earlier in the school year. Despite the short notice returning from leave, I delivered a solid lesson and received generally positive feedback. Nevertheless, 3 days later, I was informed that my contract was not being renewed. These circumstances reflect a breakdown in communication and professionalism that has become increasingly difficult to ignore. My third and final point, a call for change. In the last 6 years, over 20 teachers have left the middle school. This high turnover rate is alarming. As both an educator and a parent in the district, I worry deeply about the direction we are heading. Colstrip was once known for its strong schools and exemplary staff. When my wife first joined the district, people congratulated her on securing a position. When I recently accepted my role, the reaction was different. People questioned my decision, especially when they learned I was headed for the middle school. The representation of our district is suffering, and it pains me to see it. I came here hoping to be part of transformation to help rebuild what once made Colstrip a sought-after district. But instead, I now feel disheartened and defeated by an organization I care deeply about. I am not here to ask for my job back. Rather, I'm asking for the board's help in addressing the real changes our district faces. Our staff and students deserve better. Clear communication, respectful leadership, and shared commitment to excellence. My passion has always been preparing students for their next chapter in their lives, whether that means transferring from middle school to high school or beyond. My goal is to equip them with the tools they need to succeed. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to speak on behalf of the many dedicated professionals and students who care deeply about our schools. I love this community, our schools, and our students, and I want nothing more than to see them thrive. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Taylor. I let Taylor go a little long because I thought he deserved a little latitude. Is there any other public comment or participation? Mr. Taylor?
Got another Taylor up here. For the record, my name is Terry Taylor, 2545 Lariat Court, Colstrip, Montana. I've been a resident of Colstrip for 45 years. I voted for every mill levy that's ever come before the election. I have one daughter, 3 granddaughters that have graduated from Colstrip High School. I have one granddaughter in high school. I have a little great-grandson in first grade. He is, and I also have one that will be there in a couple of years. So I feel very strongly about the health of this school district. So I know most of you and your families, and I want to thank you for serving on this board. I know it's a thankless job. I know you want the best for your children and the children of this community, both present and in the future. So thank you so much for what you do, okay? For this district and all the kids and all the parents and everyone else. I would like to share a couple of stats and ask you just to consider a couple of things as you go forward. Taylor referenced the fact that we've lost 20 teachers in the middle school alone. Since 2012, we've lost 10 certified math teachers as well. The question I would have, are we conducting exit interviews to determine what some of the causes are relating to this high turnover rate? I'm also very concerned about the devastation that occurs to people such as Taylor and all the other people, those 20 that have been ripped from this system. What does that do to their families? What does it interrupt in their life? Will they be able to go on and teach somewhere else? That's something that desperately needs to be considered while we're doing this kind of thing. The other thing that bothers me is, how are we going to replace them? And who is that going to be? I know we're already struggling to find teachers. It's a fact all over the nation, the struggle that's the shortage of teachers. And if we do get them to come here, what is their scenario going to end up like? Are we going to continue this rotating event that we have happening? That's a good question for you. We also spend upwards of $400,000 for instructional facilitators and a curriculum director, if I'm not mistaken. So the question I have, are we coaching, correcting, developing, and challenging our teachers and principals to be the best they can for our students and the community? Are we listening to our teachers when they have ideas and solutions that would give our students a better learning experience? Are we supporting them when they have ideas that are different and actually work to help students, even if they are slightly different than what the curriculum calls for?
Terry, I'm gonna have to ask you to
Speed it up.
speed it up.
2 more seconds. 1, 2. I actually have paid taxes as well for 45 years, so could I have 1 more minute? What is the root cause of this turnover in a time with recruiting quality teachers and it's so challenging? And ask yourself, why would teachers actually want to come in to this environment? Okay. And lastly, are we making sure we have a healthy work environment for our teachers and our students? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I was one of the few teachers that got contacted last week saying that my contract would not be renewed.
I know who you are, but you need to state your name, please.
Everybody knows who I am. Come on. My name's Heidi Becker. This past week has been emotionally draining. Your very well thought out plan has hurt me emotionally, financially, and mentally, as well as leaving me feeling undervalued and cheated. Whatever your reasons are or were, your actions have affected real people and their families in many inexcusable ways. From the looks of the resignation list, the ones that are going to suffer in the end are the kids, and that is on you. Thank you. Good evening. I actually wasn't even aware of Heidi, so very sorry to hear that. So I wasn't sure. My name is Sable Kurzman. Sorry, Steve, gotcha. I have 2 high school daughters in the system currently. I'm the high school assistant golf coach as well. I wasn't sure if I'd make it to this board meeting because we literally just pulled in from a golf tournament in Forsyth today, so I'm glad I made it back. Like myself and many others, Taylor also knows the feeling of missing important events like this, and sacrificing personal time to coach our young athletes and to assist them in developing not only athletic skills, but more importantly, life skills that will aid in the development of the ability to endure a tough world. I understand that there are financial or budgetary implications, and I'm really sorry, this is super small, and I'm trying to read off of my screen here and it's not working out, that would affect the tenure determinations of educational staff, but a good leader must weigh the potential impact of such a decision on the overall quality of the program. Yes, it may be a simple matter of reapplying, Yes, it may be merely an administrative matter. However, in today's reality of short staffing and recruitment efforts, and believe me, I know, is this really the time to be choosing not to renew a certified teacher and a coach that was born, raised, and educated within this very community? Colstrip Schools has experienced extensive educator vacancies over the last several years, of which the doors were open to non-certified emergency and increased paraprofessional hiring. Many of these individuals are outstanding, and we greatly appreciate what they bring to the school system. However, I wholeheartedly disagree with a decision that could lead to losing not just one, but two of the highest quality educators in our system. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to deduce that if Taylor chooses to seek employment elsewhere, so will his wife, Nicole. I find it very hard to believe that anyone in this room would not feel the least bit slighted or worse, unvalued for their contributions to their workplace and community after such events. Both of my daughters have had Taylor and Nicole as teachers, and they both have surpassed my expectations of them. Taylor reached out to me by email to discuss concerns and reminders to keep Cameron on track, and anyone who knows Cameron knows how much of an undertaking that is. This is something that I've asked for every year, and only 3 teachers over the last 11 years have actually done it. Taylor was one. Kyla is currently in pre-calculus with Nicole, and Nicole has been a godsend. At a time when I was worried about Kyla not being challenged academically, Nicole stepped up and not only challenged her, but she supported her to be even better in a field dominated by men. I wanted the board to hear from a parent and fellow coach that these decisions should not be taken lightly. I truly hope that Taylor chooses to reapply and that he is rehired. However, if he decides to take another path, we wish him and his family the very best in their future because they deserve better. I do believe if our students' interests were at the center of these decisions, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you again today. Our students deserve better too. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah.
Yeah, my name's Dan Egan, and I am not sure how this works, but given the shortage of teachers that we have in the district, and each year there's quite a turnover in different schools. My question is, if a teacher is removed from one school or is asked to resign or is not renewed, does the tenure continue if they work for another school in our district? Is it just Colstrip Public Schools, or is it just get to stay at the same school? It is a district. Okay, great. Because that was one of my concerns, because sometimes there's just really are reasons that a teacher can't continue at one school, but they certainly could be very valuable at another school. So, okay, thank you.
Hello, Crystal Fox. I'm here tonight to express my concern over the situation involving a teacher and coach who has been a valuable asset to our district. Although this individual Taylor has since made the difficult decision to resign, the circumstances leading to that resignation are troubling, especially at a time when we are already struggling to hire and retain qualified educators and coaches. It's not just about filling a position. This is about keeping professionals who are already here, already invested in our students, and already making a difference. In rural communities like ours, experienced and committed staff are not easily replaced. What's even more concerning is the potential ripple effect. Taylor Nicole teaches math up here too. Certified educator. When one member, if he decides to leave, she's put in a position where she too might leave. Then we're out 2 teachers. That's just not unfortunate. It's a significant loss for our students, our staff, and the stability of our school community. Letting go of someone who is willing to show up, coach, teach, and support students both in and out of the classroom sends the wrong message. We need to be supporting our teachers, not pushing them out. I respectfully urge you to consider the broader impact of these decisions, not just on the individuals involved, but on our community and district as a whole. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Barbara Needham. I'm sure most of you know. who I am. I'm a rancher and a former teacher in this district, and it's been a great place to work and have a lot of great people to work with. I'm sure all of you are aware that President Trump is behind coal development and coal production. And I've said for quite a while since he got elected, coal is going to go through the ceiling. Our schools are going to be burgeoning with students, and the town is going to be burgeoning with occupations, people wanting housing here. So I think we better keep some teachers around here. We have a hard time. Well, that's happening in our town, and there's a shortage of teachers in the nation. I just want to say that I have some highly intelligent granddaughters, and this is their favorite teacher. He connects with them. Sometimes other teachers don't, and sometimes the other students don't, and they come home and go, oh, you know, they're so blankety blanky blank blank blank. We need to. I know that you haven't asked for my advice, but I'm going to give you some because that's what I'm noted for. There's a lot of fine minds in this circle here today, and I would advise you not to accept his resignation, but to say no and offer him a full contract, and then he can decide whether to take it or not. We need to keep these people here. Thank you.
Hello, you guys already know me. I'm Brandy Watson, and I'm representing the teachers union here tonight. So I do want to clear up some stuff, just mainly for public as well as board. We are under the understanding on how tenure and non-tenure work, and it is unfortunate, but there won't be reasons that are sometimes given for non-tenure. So we won't know if it's because of budgets. The hope would be that if it is because of budgets, those people will be encouraged to reach out and that those people will be applying again. And we really want that. If it is not for those reasons of the budget situations, it would be our union's hope that there was a plan of improvement in place at some point to help encourage these certified teachers who currently have all the degree elements, the licensure, everything that is very difficult to obtain, and that they would have the chance to be improving and they would have the chance to better themselves as an educator for our students. That would be our ultimate goal. I know our union has talked with the board before about trying to have a mentor program that was a little bit more in depth. I think that would be beneficial. It is very hard with the turnover for some people, so it's something to consider as well. As a union, we are concerned at the fact that we have some people who have bachelor's, master's, and even doctorates who are not continuing. And that we know that the risk, because they're going to go find a job and everywhere needs teachers. So the risk of losing those people and then having to emergency authorize is huge. So we would just like you to consider those little pieces. And we know that if resignations are turned in, they've actually already been accepted at the receipt with the signature on the line. That's how it works. We understand that already, but if it's something where they can reapply, please reach out to those teachers. Thank you.
Cheaters, sorry. Gray hair does that to you. Most of you know who I am, Gary Ramsey. Thank you, first of all, for serving on the board. I know it's a thankless position. I'm going to read a letter that I've submitted to the board previously, but it's the easiest way to do this. And I wrote this letter in reference to Taylor specifically, but I want to express that it would be for anybody in a similar situation in our district. So, Colstrip Public Schools Superintendent and Board of Trustees. I'm writing this letter in reference to the recent non-renewal of Taylor Ramsey. Excuse me. It's not my job to judge Taylor's effectiveness as a teacher or his job performance. I don't observe that. I haven't seen that done. Okay, that parents and other teachers have seen that, and administration. I haven't. My concern lies in the way this happened.
Taylor was given no directive or guidance over his past approximately 3 years working for Colstrip Public Schools. He received exemplary evaluations and had no reason to assume he was not performing at an appropriate level. It is my understanding that CPS currently employs 3 full-time instructional facilitators and a full-time curriculum director. I believe the primary focus of instructional facilitators, along with the guidance of the curriculum director and the building administrator, would be to provide assistance to any teacher who happen to be struggling with their teaching performance, especially young, non-tenured teachers. At no time during Taylor's time in Colstrip District was he ever approached by anyone who offered any assistance or guidance. He was told he was doing a great job. As someone who spent many years in education, as both a teacher and administrator, as some of you know, a lot of years, I don't understand how you could have someone underperforming in your building for almost 3 years and not let them know or attempt to aid them in their teaching methods, especially when one of the members of your staff is specifically tasked with that as their primary duty. In addition, as a taxpayer, I'm more than a little concerned that we have 4 full-time people whose job is either to focus on curriculum and teacher development at, as Mr. Taylor previously stated, I would guess an estimated cost between $400,000 and $500,000 every year. And we are not using these individuals for their assigned duties. I'm not writing this with the intent of getting Taylor his job back. In fact, I personally feel at this point there may have been too many bridges burned and that he may choose not to return to the Colstrip School District. If I were him, I would definitely feel that way. I'm writing this to bring it to light and to try to ensure that it doesn't happen to someone else. I feel that this was done in an extremely unprofessional manner and that it was blatantly wrong. I have always shared with people that Colstrip Public Schools are the greatest schools in the state of Montana, and I truly believe that. I can honestly say, I no longer feel that way. And I'm disappointed, and maybe a better choice of words is I'm ashamed of the way this was handled. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dan Valdez, and I have a little bit different perspective with Taylor. I've known him, I've coached him through high school, and I've been a coach with him. So I don't know exactly all his teacher stuff, but I know our district, trust me and Gary have been looking for replacements for us. We've been trying to retire for years. There's nobody willing to do coaching around here. If you get teachers that have these dual things that they can coach, I think we need to seriously think about keeping them, because there's not going to be a program next year. I have a feeling if this happens, because there's not been one single person put in for the wrestling assistant job other than me and Gary. So I think, things like that really need to be taken into consideration. These guys, Taylor's been here, he was from here, his parents are from here. They got roots here. They bought a house, they bought 2 houses. They're wanting to stay here. They want to raise their kids here. It's not like bringing a teacher in from across the state that might last 2 years. Oh, I don't like it here. They love it here. They want to stay here. I highly encourage you guys to look at it. I want to say kiss him a little butt to keep him here, because he's very valued. Thank you.
Well, I'll take a minute. My name is Doug Gaskell. I worked here for 24 years in the district, and let's see, I came here as a mental health therapist. They call it student assistants at the time. I don't know. Mental health therapist. I was an administrator in all 3 buildings. Actually, I had 4 at that time, but I was administrator in the 3 that exist now. As dean of students. High school guidance counselor for 11 years. But I have a unique, I don't know if it's unique or not. What I wanted to share is that I supervised Taylor as a teacher. I was his student teaching supervisor. Now, it was a short period of time, but the way he implemented technology, he was a year or 2 more advanced than all of his students, and that was 8th grade. It's been a few years back. Exemplary. I worked really closely with the University of Jamestown, phone conversations, emails back and forth with his supervisors there, his teachers and supervisor there. And they had nothing but great to say about Taylor. And of course, I've known Taylor since he was this high. And, you know, this just kind of boggles my mind. I can't believe we're here. And as everybody said, keeping teachers and getting good teachers is hard enough. My wife just retired. She worked here for how many years? 38. And then how many in Miles City? 5 more. So, and Miles City is going through the same thing. Not being able to find teachers. They even went to a 4-day work week and they can't find teachers. So, you know, that's a big ticket item now. So I just wanted to take a minute and share that as his supervisor 9 years ago, exemplary, that as I started to say, the use of technology, the openness to the kids, his ability to reach kids at all levels. And I spent a little time there. I didn't just go in and spend 10 minutes and watch him and then leave. So I can't think that's changed with Taylor at all. I know it's not going to change anything here from the mental health side of things. Let me just say, if I was Taylor, I'd say, screw it. I'd find something else to do. Lose a good teacher because of one big mistake. So that's all I got to say. Thank you. Oh, by the way, this is a great school district and I love working here. I better put that in there. So anyway, thank you.
Owen Heck, for the record. I support Taylor, I support Heidi, all those teachers. If you can believe it or not, I was in a leadership class one time and a guy said, you got to ask darn good questions. And I think it's time that we start asking some darn good questions and maybe some questions that need to be asked because we need teachers. And some things might need to get cleared up. I mean, if you look online, it's all you have them, you have to have them quit, or you have to, I wouldn't say fire, or whatever you're doing, basically firing them, and then rehiring them, and then you don't have to pay them a pay raise. Well, I thought that's why we voted on levies, was to give these people pay raises. And you guys all work here, you all deserve raises. Everybody deserves a raise. We need good teachers, and we need to pay them. I mean, I don't understand the business of teaching because I'm not in it, but I do know that I like to get a raise every year. And I support levies, but that's also my vote. When I don't like something that's going on, I've told you guys that before. That's our vote. That's the community's vote. They don't like something. So I think it's time to start asking some darn good questions about more than just a couple teachers. Maybe we need to start looking at everything. Thank you.
I think most of you know me, but my name is Nicole Ramsey. I teach at the high school. I have for 9 years, and I'm Taylor Ramsey's wife. I come before you tonight as a staff member, wife, mother, and concerned community member. My husband, who is a fantastic teacher and coach who cares deeply about his students and this community, did not have his contract renewed and as a result has resigned both from teaching and coaching. 3 years ago, he left a job that he loved in Forsyth to come back to his hometown of Colstrip. We planned to settle down here. We bought a beautiful house. We had a baby. We had fulfilling jobs that we loved. We love this town and the people in it and plan to eventually enroll our daughter in the schools here. We have a vested interest in making these schools a place where students are both cared for and given a quality education. However, over the course of the last 3 years, I have watched my passionate, caring, and hardworking husband become more disillusioned with education in this district. I've watched him come home from work defeated and worried about the direction his school and this district is taking. At one point, he even left work early in tears because an administrator came to his room during his prep to berate and insult him over what was essentially a miscommunication. To my knowledge, nothing was done about the unprofessional behavior of this administrator. Over the course of the 3 years here, there has been no remediation in regards to his teaching abilities. He has received great reviews on his observations and has not received any constructive criticism until right before he went on paternity leave, leaving him no chance to actually implement any changes in his classroom. Even then, when he returned, he was given an evaluation that, while not as well as past years, still indicated competency as a teacher. There have been no major issues with his teaching that have been brought to his attention, and no real guidance given. He believes strongly in holding students to high standards, both academically, behaviorally, and morally. And while he maintains a professional demeanor, he does not hold back his opinions on what he believes is right and what is best for our students. And I can only think this must have something to do with why he is not being rehired, as I do not think it has any basis in his teaching abilities. I know that he is untenured, and as such, there does not need to be a reason given not to renew his contract. But I hope that the administration understands the gravity of this situation and the dangerous precedent that is being set in a district that is already struggling with hiring and retaining any candidates, let alone highly qualified and experienced ones. You have had a teacher do good work in the district for 3 years, a teacher that has the proper certification and many years of experience already, a teacher with a young family to support, someone who was born and raised here and is trying to put down roots. People do not know what is going on. Clearly, as we've talked about, a lot of people not involved in education don't understand some of these matters and tenure. But people don't know what's going on, and so they're angry at losing a teacher that has had a positive impact on so many of our students. Staff are scared, and morale is low. Colstrip is gaining a reputation as a bad place to work, which only hurts our students and our community. Quite frankly, I don't know if I might receive retaliation for what I'm saying right now, but I hope that the community knows what's happening in our schools and the board knows what's happening in our schools so that we can aim to make this a better place for staff and students.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I'm Evan Stewart, coming as maybe more of a community member. I appreciate all the community that has shown up to voice concern for what they're seeing in the school. As former member of city council years ago and just being the tech guy that's at a lot of these meetings, I know that a lot of times the community, we don't see what's going on because we come out when there's a big item on the agenda. And so I appreciate people are watching and they're seeing the agendas to come out and speak on behalf of teachers and of the local district. I also want to say that I've had a privilege of working closely with the administration team, just as my role as the IT supervisor here, of being able to go into the different buildings and just talk with people about all kinds of things, be a fly on the wall in different situations. And even though this list of resignations surprised me, I wasn't expecting anything like that. I do want to just make it known that I believe that the principal team and all the administrative team understand the concerns that have been raised about our low teachers, about the need for boosting morale, about the need of better communication. And I hope that the board can look at policies of our hiring and our exiting staff to maybe do exit interviews or put something more defined on best practice for how staff members can be notified when there are concerns. But I want to say that I believe that all of our administrators are former teachers. They've been serving this district, many of them, for a long time, and I know they've lost a lot of sleep over any of these decisions are made. I can't imagine how much about staffing changes at the end of the year. So I do want to say thank you, even though this is a happy time, that I do believe you guys have considered this, and this isn't just a willy-nilly decision. But I also ask you to listen to the suggestions from the public to make this process maybe more open to the people it directly affects, so it's not as much of a shock to some people as they come up. But thank you for your time, because you continue to show up. These are the kind of meetings that would make me not want to return to an administrative position. And I do appreciate that you guys have been through a lot of controversy, a lot of changes, and you continue to come back to lead the school, because I believe you're making decisions the best way you know how, and we believe it is good for the district, even though they're unhappy and just difficult at times. So thank you.
My name's Heather Willoughby. I didn't prepare anything because I wasn't sure I was going to necessarily say anything, but I do think my perspective is not necessarily what everyone has. I am a wrestling mom. I know Taylor that way. The first time I met him, he was a college kid coming back to be crazy and rambunctious in the wrestling room and wrestle the little guys, even though he was a college kid coming back. But I've known him for that many years, since he was in college, and I am a mom of a middle school boy who very much appreciates the energy that he has at the middle school, and it is going to be desperately missed. As the middle school lunch lady, I can say he is one of the rare and few who are involved and inspiring and not just sitting and eating in the lunchroom. He is encouraging the kids to be responsible and do the right thing, and that is exactly who he is as a person, as a teacher, and as a coach. Jacob, my middle school kid, hasn't had the chance to have him directly as a coach, but Ian did for a couple of years as an assistant coach, and Ramsey held him to task in a way that he desperately needed, and I was really looking forward to being able to have that for Jacob as well. He's going to be missed as a teacher, and I think that this was a really, really huge mistake. So, again, like as a lunch lady, very missed in the lunchroom. It's rare to have somebody who really, really holds them accountable in the lunchroom. That's not the common teacher. So, thank you.
We had to know if I came, then I would say something, right? I only come when I need to talk. Nikki Barrett-Moline. And really I'm here as a mom. I'm here for my daughter. Because Ramsadoodle, as she prefers to call him, has made great changes in her academic life in math. I think we start to forget that our kids that are in school right now, middle school, high school, they went through COVID, and COVID affected them drastically academically. So my daughter struggled with school due to COVID, right? She took some vacation, right? I mean, she was on IXL sometimes, but she took some vacation. And then she came back and she had a great teacher, and then she hit 5th grade and some dramatic things happened, and she didn't really get a great 5th grade year. That was stolen from her. She came back for 6th grade and we didn't have great gains. But then she came this year, and the motivation that I see in her, and the love and the spark that I see in her for academics is starting to come back. And for me, that's huge. And I just want to thank you. And I want to thank all of her teachers in the middle school that worked with her. Because really, I couldn't work with a middle schooler. I will take a 2nd grader any day, but I don't want middle school. There's too much attitude and too much life happening there. And I do appreciate all that all of you do. But really, Taylor, thank you. And I hope that you do recognize that you have people that appreciate you and recognize the changes that you have made. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Dudley. I've been a resident of Colstrip for 35 years. I have my wife went through the Colstrip school system, siblings. We have 4 daughters that have gone through the Colstrip public school system. We're currently on our last one. Maddie was an 8th grader last year, enrolled in the algebra class at Frank Bratton Middle School with Taylor. It was Taylor's. He's tough on the kids. He wants them to come out of there, be educated, and he works with them. He would go in and have the kids come in at lunchtime on his own time and work with the kids to if they were struggling in an area. And I just wanted to relate a story at her 8th grade last year that 100% is pretty tough to get in Taylor's class, and it doesn't happen very often. And Maddie was struggling with some stuff, and a couple of her classmates, and with the extra help that they got from Taylor, she brought home 100% one day, and she was really excited about it. In fact, she was so excited about it, we still have that. So, that's a bad compliment for her. And so a tenured teacher, good kid, grew up here. I would really consider the board and administrators and who makes the decision on this to not accept his resignation and bring him back. So, thank you.
Okay. I'm Brandy Charette, and I'm getting emotional. But I'm a single mom now, and this education system is just flooded with women. It really is. And Taylor, I don't know how much. I hope you know how much of an impact to make, because raising Tommy by myself is so hard. It really is, and I constantly reach out to teachers help me. I really don't know what I'm doing. But Taylor is such a strong male presence in this community and with these kids that don't have a dad at home. And losing him would be detrimental. Tommy, I struggle with her, and Taylor knows what a struggle it is with her in class. It's painful some days. But she almost, she doesn't want to let him down. And I love that she feels that. And so just think about those when you guys are making decisions, because there are women throughout, and we just are naggy. But having a strong male role model that just holds them accountable and is a dad figure to them, even though that's not his actual role. Teachers play many different roles. And Taylor does that, and he helps us moms that are doing it by ourselves. They're trying to figure it out. And so Taylor, I do appreciate you dealing with her, because it's hard with her. It's painful. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Just think about those male figures that you guys, we just need them in this community and in the classroom. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jason Lee. Now I have a speech prepared, so I might be a little choppy. I never say it to Mr. Ramsey's face, but he's one of my favorite teachers that I've had in all my 8 years of going to school. And he's taught us how to use math outside of the classroom and how to use it in the real world. And he makes jokes with us, and all the kids in my grade have some kind of nickname for him. And he connects with us on a personal level. And seeing him go has made all of my classmates sad, especially my classroom. Tell him every day, asking him not to leave, even though it's not his choice. And I think everyone would benefit greatly as a coach and as a teacher and as a friend if he could stay.
I do have one late letter that I received, so if you want to take one and pass it around. And then the letters that I did receive this week are in that board under public participation for you guys all to read.
You have something you wanted to read?
I do. I have something I wanted to read during public comment. First, I want to thank everyone who came tonight, everyone who wrote letters. That's exactly what the school board process should be. I value public input so much. But what is not part of the process and has become increasingly aggressive in our community is social media interactions. Comments we get such as, Colstrip School Board sucks, they're mean and controlling. and concerned face emoji, the entire school board needs to go. Or two of my favorites so far from an impartial MOA official. They can't even be low-key bigots and CPS board is trash, period, are far from helpful. They just try to create animosity and a device environment. And those that make up completely false information, such as, why does the school board continue to hire superintendents that are not from Montana? Emphasized with 3 question marks. May I introduce you to Mr. Scott Otremba, our superintendent, who grew up in Wolf Point and started his teaching career in Miles City. If I'm not mistaken, both of those towns are in Montana.
Master's degree is through.
MSU, okay. Adults are posting these things, and you know who reads them? Your kids, my kids, our kids. And our kids are seeing adults post these things about their parents, their friends' parents, their coaches, their 4-H mentors, their teachers, their principal. They see these nasty things being said, but then we expect them to come to school and be kind to each other. I know some of you have good intentions when you want to rally support for someone or something, but please be mindful of the way you're going about doing that. Facebook is not always the best avenue. I make decisions based on what I feel is best for our students while following policy and handbooks, doing research and gathering input. But I will tell you, I don't take Facebook posts or comments into consideration when making decisions at this table. Your comments don't hurt my feelings in the slightest, but they are affecting the relationships of our kids. So I would encourage everyone to ask themselves before they post, share, or comment, would you want your child behaving like that on social media? Let's work together to show our kids that even if we have differing opinions, we can communicate with each other in a respectful way. Thank you.
What can I say? It's not what I was looking forward to. But I thank you all. This board does hear you. I hope we can be that change or what we need, this community needs. Like I said, yeah, sisters are on that list too. So, but anyway, thank you. If there's nothing else, we'll be moving on. Thank you. 5.01, consent agenda.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda as presented, including executive session minutes.
I heard Angie.
We'll still have to do it later. Okay. Wait, who did Angie?
Angie. Okay, I have a motion and a second. With that, I'll move right on to the vote. Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye. 6.01, governance calendar.
April has transportation permissions. And I just want to reiterate that any student who applies for out-of-district enrollment in Colstrip, if they don't live in our district, we send transportation permissions out. So we've done this for Hardin School District, Langer School District, Custer County, and Ashland. We do that every year. Every year we get pretty much the same response, except for this year. So Langer decided Monday not to allow us to pick students up in their district anymore. So we won't be able to send buses there next year, but we are still bringing in out-of-district students.
Can I ask a question on that?
That's not an agenda item.
Oh, do that.
Okay, with that, we have no old So we'll move right into new business. 8.01 is our resignations for informational purposes only.
Can I ask a question on that?
It's information, it's not an agenda item, or it's not an actionable item. 8.02, Mr. O, this is you.
Okay, I've got a recommendation for a district substitute for the 24-25 school year, Eileen Rosander.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves Arlene Rosander for the 24-25 school year for district substitute.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any public comment on this agenda item? Any further board? Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie? Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye. 8.03, extracurricular.
I'd like to recommend Allison Capel for the Colstrip High School head volleyball coach for the 25-26 school year.
I move that the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves Allison Capel for CHS head volleyball coach for the 25-26 school year.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this agenda item? Excuse me? Yay? Was that a yay?
It's a yay.
Oh, okay. Any further board? Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye. 8.04.
Okay, I will not be bringing this recommendation to the board tonight. 8.04.
Are we just tabling it?
Tabling that, yes.
So we need a motion to table then? Or are we okay?
I don't think there's a motion to table it.
Okay.
Eight point oh five. We can take them as a whole.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to recommend these members for the 25-26 school year for rehire for our non-tenured certified staff. Okay, we can take this whole, so I don't have to read it.
Yeah, presented.
As presented.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves rehire of non-tenured K-8 certified staff for the 25-26 school year as presented.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this agenda item?
It's K-12.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Okay.
K-12, I'm sorry. Do I need to redo it?
Did we have a second?
You did, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you'll have to rescind the motion.
Okay. I rescind the previous motion. So you have to second.
Second.
Okay, you're ready, Brittany?
Yep.
Okay, I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves the rehire of the non-tenured K-12 certified staff for the 25-26 school year as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this agenda item? Any further board?
I just want to point out the ones that are moving to tenured, so that'd be Crystal Cox, Angie Gottfredson, Rachel O'Connor, Deanna Patton, and Alicia Siegel.
Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye. 8.06.
Okay, I have the following K-12 tenured certified staff members that are recommended for rehire, for the 25-26 school year as presented to the board.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves the rehire of the K-12 tenured certified staff for the 25-26 school year as presented.
Second.
Just refresh it.
Okay, have a motion second. Any public comment on this agenda item? Any for the board? Oh, sorry, man.
I don't know if this is the spot for it, but I didn't want to do it in the Taylor's, but I just want to say that as the activity secretary, I think that rehiring needs to be sold as a teacher, not as the AD, is a mistake. I feel like we've had 2 years, we've had a lot of growth. We were starting over from scratch, and that doing it again next year, starting over from scratch without a high school secretary, with one bus driver, with changing all the routes because of the closed borders. I just feel like it's a mistake. And I hope we have a plan in place for what we're going to do going forward.
Thank you, Karen. Any for the board? Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye. 8.07.
Okay, I'd like to recommend the following non-affiliated staff, the 25-26 school year, as presented to the board.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves the rehire of non-affiliated staff for the 25-26 school year as presented.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this agenda item? Any for the board? Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye. Eight point oh eight.
Recommending for the non-affiliated staff, 25-26 school year, on the raise as presented to the board here, is it 3%?
I know at one point we had talked about trying to tie parts of everyone's raise to levies. I didn't know where we're gonna start with that.
Okay, to pass it for you.
That's what we did a couple years ago.
What's how you do it?
No.
You say like
We
X
get
percent.
negotiated into their contract, so if we don't pass the levy, we don't get our levy. That's Baker's policies, most, if not
Because the levies are where we get our general
where
fund.
the general fund comes.
Okay.
I don't know if non-affiliated is the way to start. I'm just throwing it out there. So,
Could we do 1% if the levy passes and 1% if it doesn't pass?
make
That way
that
they
motion.
still get a raise, but they get a better raise if we get that secured funding.
I'm good with that.
2% if it, because it says 3% here, so we could do 3% if the levy passes, 2% if the levy fails.
All fine.
Okay. All right, I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves a 3% increase for the non-affiliated staff for the 25-26 school year if the general levy passes, and a 2% raise for the non-affiliated staff for the 25-26 school year if the levy does not pass.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this agenda item?
I do. Do you want me to stand over there?
I
Do you
don't
want,
want to.
can I stand? Can I talk right here?
You
Is
can
that
sit right
okay?
there.
Okay.
With this, I don't really feel like this is fair for your non-affiliated. Your certified staff already have bargained for a 3% for the next year. Your classified staff is in negotiations right now. You can't say if you're going to be able to tie their raise with a levy. Your non-affiliated are your smallest group, and we do not have negotiating power. So I don't feel like it's fair right now to start with us when we're your smallest group and we have no give and take. Your classified union, your certified union have give and take. We don't. So I don't feel like that's fair, and I just wanted to share that.
Hey, Vaughn, again. Ditto. That's exactly what I was gonna say. When you have your people with your contracts who are, it's set, you don't get to change your minds. And then you take the small group of people who has no bargaining power and you don't give them that same courtesy. And then also levies are based on trust in a district. And I feel like right now, the trust in our district is, look around. It's not great. And so the chances of passing levies goes down every time that there isn't trust in the district. The only time that another levy hasn't passed is when the community was trying to show our school board and our superintendent to teach them a lesson. And I would hate to see that happen again this time. I really hope that the levies pass because that's our raises, that's our wages, that's our, livelihood. But I could see something like that happen, and I don't think that the non-affiliated should be punished for that.
Thank you. Okay. I ditto that, both of them as well.
I'm just gonna second that. I'm obviously classified on the negotiating team, but my boss is not affiliated. And I was looking at those non-affiliated pay scales, and I just want to throw out there that 3% at the very least for somebody who manages as many people as she does is, especially considering some of the other non-affiliated are much more high. I'm sure they're more educated or something, but she manages people in 3 different buildings at a very high level and deserves at least 3%. So just, that's my public comment for that.
For the board?
I feel like this group of people does actually have more bargaining power because their wages aren't set. They're allowed to come in and negotiate their wages. They're not set in a union contract, but they can't. And I think if you look at some of these, you can see that a lot of them were negotiated from the base rate to where they are now.
Can I share another comment? When these amounts come out, your non-affiliated are not told, so they don't have a chance to come in. As far as I'm still in a supervisor position with my employees, I wasn't able to go to my employees and say, this is what the suggested raise is. They don't have a chance to then come in and negotiate. So they may come in and negotiate their beginning, but still, when it's somebody that's brand new that doesn't have any experience, they're going to come in at the base pay, and then they don't have any negotiating power after that if they're not even given the chance to know what is going to be presented to you guys. So.
But really, in any business circumstance that's outside of a union, any member that is outside of that understands that it is on that individual to basically levy for themselves. And I mean, I don't know, when I've been under the impression that I should receive a raise, I go talk to my supervisor, regardless of the time of year or anything like that. And then I expect my supervisor to levy for me, to whoever is in charge of this. So I think there is time, and I think that they are under a different set of rules, and I think understanding that is real. I guess it's been precedent that's been set that's not anywhere in both the board or anyone has to follow. That is this, the group of admin or the non-certified, that are non-affiliated, excuse me, that this is what the normal business, the normal way of business, I guess, for people who are not inside of the union. But,
I'll share one more comment, and I'll be done, I promise. I guess if going along with that thinking is that if 3% was on the board agenda to come tonight, people didn't know to come because they don't know that you were going to talk about lowering it because of a levy either. And when you take action at the board, you took action. There's no more time to go in and say, okay, I disagree with that 2%. I disagree with you tying it to levies. So I'll just add that.
And if it's based on merit or something like that, I mean, we're all getting 3%. So it was just put out there for everyone to be the same. So, I mean, if that's the case and we can get a different wage, I mean.
I look at this as like cost of living increase. And then if there are merit increases that your supervisor feels or that you want to go advocate for yourself for, you have every right to do that.
Yeah. See, we've never done that before. So
we
it's just
talked about
been.
it last year in great detail at the board meetings, I remember.
I agree. I don't agree with the timing so well. I do believe that our increases need to be tied to levies for the certified and classified. I don't think that those union leaders or those members of the unions advocate enough for those levies. I think they count on the board to make these promises, and your little blurbs like, oh yeah, we support the levy, isn't enough. These are your wages. This is how we run every year on that general levy. And I think that our unions need to be banging on doors a little more, or picketing a little more to get these levies passed. The board is going to be upfront and transparent with what we're going to do with those levies. But I don't necessarily agree with how it's all put on the board to ensure that these levies get passed. And the unions just say, well, we support that. Well, you need to show a little bit more support for those levies and not just, we support it. So I would agree that I think we should just do the 3% for this year. And we need to bargain that in with the certified and the classified to see how, if they really are in support of these levies. Like I said, I just feel being on the board now for 5 years that I think there are some that advocate, but I think as a whole, our unions don't do a very good job for those levies. So.
Can I speak one more time?
You may.
Thank you. Because we have reached out, my field rep, MFP, has reached out, I have reached out, I don't know if CFA has, but we have asked for more information, what we need to do to get levies passed for 3 years in a row and haven't heard back from anybody. We have exhausted meetings. We did. We've asked for more information about the levies, what it's going to be, what you would like us to share, those kinds of things, and we've never heard back. And I know that Rachel reached out to Mr. Lewandowski, and I know that our unions have reached out to the board because we didn't have a superintendent and we've never heard back.
And
we had a staff member who actually offered to make a whole huge PowerPoint for a PowerPoint night, and our raises last year were tied to whether the levy passed or not. So we were definitely wanting to promote that. So from our end, if we can do something more, I'm always looking for that way to get it out there more, but let's work together to get that done. Okay?
MFP is willing to make the phone calls. They put their people on it, they make the phone calls, they send the emails, they'll knock on doors. We just need your support going forward to do that.
You don't need our support to do that. That should be something that you want to do. That's what I'm getting at, okay? You're waiting for us to give you permission to do something for yourself. Please, I'm giving you that support now. Help us get those passed. Because you all know how important. Owen spoke on it earlier. That's how we run. That's how we've got to pass those levies. So, that's all I have to say. With that, we will Wade.
Aye.
Tiff.
Aye.
Angie.
Aye.
Sabrina.
Aye.
No. 8.09.
Okay, we don't currently have a wage set for the substitute nurse, so proposing that we set at $23 an hour starting immediately. And it says here, this was $3 less than the starting wage time that follows the practice that we've done in the past.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves the addition of the substitute nurse position at $23 per hour starting immediately.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this? Any for the board? Wade.
Aye.
Tiff.
Aye.
Angie.
Aye.
Sabrina.
Aye.
Aye. Non-contract.
Okay, so presenting the non-contracted position hourly salary schedule is presented starting June 1st, as it appears to the board here.
I move that the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves the non-contracted position hourly salary schedule as presented, starting June 1st, 2025.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this agenda item? Any further board? Wade.
Aye.
Tiff.
Aye.
Angie.
Aye.
Sabrina.
Aye.
Extracurricular Student Activities Fund Management.
I just like to close these two accounts, FBMS FCS and FBMS Art Club. Those were both inadvertently opened a couple years ago and they're zeroed out.
I move that the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves to close extracurricular funds, FBMS, FCS, and FBMS Art in the activity accounts.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any public comment on this? Any further board? Wade.
Aye.
Tiff.
Aye.
Angie.
Aye.
Sabrina.
Aye.
Aye. 8.12, should have sold.
Okay, so we were approached by St. Labray, by their athletic director, Marvin Vanderpool, with the suggestion that they would co-op with us for 11-man football for next year. I contacted Brian McAbody at MHSA, and he has indicated that they would be in favor of such a thing. They did not have enough players last year to field an 8-man football team, and we are struggling to keep an 11-man football team healthy and competitive through the season. So it would be something that was mutually beneficial to us. They would be responsible for bringing their students up here and taking them home. The only thing they did ask, well, they asked a couple of things, but one of them was that they be allowed to have 2 coaches that they would pay for that would travel with their players to be on our staff, which I've spoke with Coach Heck and he is fine with. And then they would bring their students up for games and take them back down after games. We do play Thompson Falls next year in Manhattan, and that will be an overnight trip. They have said they will pay for their kids' rooms and meals on instances like that, which of course the ultimate goal is hopefully we make playoffs, which also would entail travel, and they would pay their share of that. We're talking about maybe a dozen kids that would be coming up here. It would definitely be a shot in the arm for our program. They would play under the Colstrip Colts moniker. They would use our equipment, which we have plenty of. It would not be something where we were creating something key. They would be coming up with something for our team. And and their eligibility is actually tougher than ours. It's basically the same. They do week to week. They do not give out a warning list on Mondays. If you're not eligible on Wednesdays, you don't play until the next Wednesday. So they are actually right aligned with what we do. Their discipline standards are the same as ours. And that would be part of having the 2 additional coaches, would be that they would be able to, have boots on the ground down there at LeBray to see how they're performing in the schoolhouse, as well as negotiate any sort of situations that might arise up here, because they would know the kids. So, in my opinion, it's a good idea, and it's good for us. It's good for both schools. And I'd like to see something like that happen.
Yeah, I think you answered every question that I immediately had in those emails, so thank you. I move Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves the application for cooperative sponsorship with St. Bray for the CHS football season 25-26 school year.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any public comment on this?
I have a question. The ages of the kids, freshmen to seniors.
Freshmen to seniors, it would be high school sports only. Only
So-
football.
Because I'm looking at like varsity level.
That's all we have.
The age of it. So how many freshmen, how many seniors? Because, when you get a lot of younger kids playing varsity, you're opening everything to more days.
We do, the number spread is actually on the MHSA application that I gave Mr. Otremba, because they have to sign it. So it is a spread where, if I'm not mistaken, the bulk of them are sophomores and juniors that would be playing. They didn't have a huge number of freshmen that went out for it, but that would be where it would lie. But, it would definitely, there we go, thank you. Okay. They would have 6 seniors, 6 juniors, 7 seniors, 5 juniors, 7 sophomores, and 6 freshmen. That's their anticipated numbers. So, and they're honestly thinking it will be low.
Anything else? Owen? Sure, you've been up there.
I just want to say that I'm for this. Sure, the first year will be a little bit of a growing pain, but one thing I think that is lacking in our program is a JV squad. But we do need to have numbers to have a JV squad, because those kids you can only play 7 quarters a week. So I can't have, varsity kids out there also getting hurt. And then also I'll have to manage the quarters with them and everything. And I think you guys all know that that's the way you build programs. You got to get those kids out on playing time, and that is one thing that we lack on doing. And it's tough. If we could I've talked to Sol about this a lot. Even if we could just try to fill somebody's schedule and pick up games, I know it probably wouldn't happen this year, but it's something that we need. And I was looking back, I think 19, they had 23 kids in the picture in the weight room. I know one year I had 28 kids, but it's been down to 19, 20, 23 last year sometime. We went to games and had 18 kids that could play. So it's not like we just dropped the numbers. I mean, they've steadily been dropping since 2008, since the rumors that Colstrip was going to shut down. We just had not rebounded from that. And I think it'd help their program. They're struggling too, just to play 8-man. So I think it would help most schools. And for them willing to put the cost out there and to bring their kids up here. I mean, they're putting it out there to help their kids. And I think it's a great thing. I think it'd be a good thing. Thank you.
Do you know, and maybe you know, and maybe you mentioned this, but as far as practices go, are they having to leave school early to make it to our practices?
I don't know if you talked to them about that.
Yeah, I did. And what they would do is they would put their kids in a final period study hall. So they would leave about 30 minutes early because they get out about the same time as we do. So they could have the study hall to allow them to get on the bus and get up here and get about a 20-minute head start to be up here when we start practice.
And I mean, we usually start practice about 4 o'clock and then tell the kids to get in there and get on the field. I like having at the field at 4 o'clock, but we could adjust that. I mean, if we had to go at 4:15, we could get something at 4:30.
Yeah, and they're anticipating being here at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that was what discussed. They said they'll make that adjustment for those kids to be able to do that.
Like I said, the first year we're probably going to have some growing pains and try to figure this thing out. But there's other schools that co-op with 3 and 4 other schools and they make it work. So
yeah, and if you look at the schools that were in the playoffs and that made deep playoff runs in Class B, they're all co-op.
Yeah, so
I think it's a great idea.
We ran a co-op once before too with Langdon, and it's just communication. I mean, it's a great opportunity for those kids and it'll help our kids. So.
That's for me. Any further board discussion? Wayne?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye. 8.13.
This is the letter we've been sending out every year to kind of explain how if we don't use, or if we take our cold gross proceeds tax, we don't have to necessarily use all of the levy amount from the general levy. So we've sent this out the last few years, and I know every time we do, we get really positive feedback because it helps explain our unique budget situation. So I will have to read all of this, I believe.
Yes, you do.
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees directs its staff to provide the board with the fiscal year 26 Montana Department of Revenue estimates of cold gross proceeds at the first regular board meeting after said estimates are received in the spring of fiscal year 25. The Board of Trustees directs that staff provide an estimate of the distribution based on current law of said cold gross proceeds to the district's fiscal year 26 budgeted funds no later than the date of its budget work session prior to the annual budget meeting currently scheduled for August 11, 2025. The board recognizes that increases and decreases in taxable valuation, which will not be certified until August 2025, could offset the effects of the cold gross proceeds during the budget adoption process. The Board of Trustees directs staff to specifically identify cold gross proceeds revenues by its annual budget meeting, currently scheduled for August 11th, 2025, for use by the Board of Trustees to eliminate, or if sufficient, to reduce any increase in levies authorized during the May 2025 election. The board further directs that the cold gross proceeds received by the district for fiscal year 26 be used as the first dollar source of revenue to reduce what would otherwise be covered by approved school levies authorized by a vote of the public during May 2026 election. Imposition of levies approved during the May 2026 election will only occur if cold gross proceeds revenues received by the district for fall 26 fall short of anticipated amounts.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any public comment on this? Any further board? Just like to say that cold gross mitigation plan is under attack every year. So at some point, they're going to get it. So that's why it's important for these levies to pass. That goes up and it goes down. And like I said, every year, somebody's coming after it.
So really, this is I mean, the board continues, because I know the board has done this in the past, but continues to use other funds before they get to the levy funds. And so really trying to be as fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' dollars instead of just saying, well, we'll just use the taxpayers' dollars to do whatever we want with this other over approach. So,
correct.
Can I just clarify? What you're talking about is that cold mitigation block grant. That is a set amount every year. The one that goes up and down is the cold proceeds. So I just wanted to clarify that. And both are used to offset the levies. So not just cold proceeds, but that cold mitigation block grant is used as non-levy revenue to lower the taxpayers. So.
With that, Wade.
Aye.
Tiff.
Aye.
Andy.
Aye.
Sabrina.
Aye.
Aye. Student attendance.
Okay, so I'm going to be presenting to the board the FP14 applications for student attendance agreements for the 25-26 school year.
Okay. So this is the point where we'll go into executive session. So excuse us. Okay, we'll bring this meeting back.
I move that the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approve the meeting minutes from the executive session.
Second. Okay, motion second. With that, Wade.
Aye.
Tiff.
Aye.
Angie.
Aye.
Sabrina.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approve the FP14 student attendance agreements for the 25-26 school year for the following students. Number 450, 451, 452, 453, 454, 455, 456, 457, 458, 459, 460, 461.
A typo there. Okay, go for it. 461.
462, 463, 465, 466, 467, 468, 469, 470, 471, 473, 474, 475, 476, 477, 478, 479, 480, 481, 482, 483, 484, 485, 486, 487, 488, 489, 490, 491, 492, 493, 494, 495, 496, 497, 498, 499, 500, 501, 502, 504, 505, 506, 507, 508, 509, 510, 511, 512, 513, 514, 515, 516, 517, 518, 519, 520, 521, 522, 523, 524, 525, 526, 527, 528, 529, 530, 531, 533, 534, 535, 536, 537, 538, 539, 543, 547, 560. That was my motion.
Second.
Would you like to hear that again?
Nope.
Can you read that back?
Okay. With that, I'll go to the vote. Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I move the Colstrip Board of Trustees deny the FP14 student attendance agreements for the 25-26 school year for application numbers 464, 472, 503, 532, and 546.
Second.
What's that? I'll go to the vote. Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you very much. Okay. With that, we'll move into reports. High school. Mrs. Nansel, is there any recognitions you would like to?
Sure. Our March attendance competition, freshmen were at 93.84, sophomores 92.85, juniors 92.79, and seniors 87.37. Our freshmen have been really strong this year. March students of the month, freshman Maddie Dudley, sophomore Taylor Riley, junior Araya Curley, and senior Slade Toscano. And our March Rosebud County Health Be a Buddy Not a Bully winner was Alex Strand.
Thank you.
I'll have a report on all of the FFA placings and band acquired next.
Okay. Ms. O'Toole, any recognitions?
Yep, I have a few of them. I have Mrs. Goffredson for securing the beef grant with Montana Beef Council and the American Association of Family and Consumer Science, the Montana affiliate, and she won $100 to use in her FCS classes. So congratulations for that. And then I have some student of the week. I have Logan Stiles, Cooper Clark, Harrison Full, Knox Becker, Tommy Charette, Lillian Anderson, Cashlyn Scalp Kane, Malia Highwalker, Bree Whiteman, Henry Sessions, Stella Goffredson, Chance Bixby, and the student of the month was for 6th grade, Logan Stiles, 7th grade, Lillian Anderson, and 8th grade, Knox Becker.
I'm hearing really fun things coming out of Mrs. Gottfredson's FCS class with all of her cooking competitions and stuff. I think that's really cool.
Great. Mr. Bailey, any recognitions?
Betcha. We got some March bucket fillers, Gary Burchief, Mila Talawama, Kiki Scout Kane, Porcelain Shotgun, Isabella Drexler, Roa Guzman, Matthew Paul, Tydell Beals, Rocket Caesar Ground, Shawnee Spear, Starlin Little Toggle, and David Stewart.
Thank you.
And these cool stickers we got.
Yeah, Milena Pedraza, winner of the sticker contest. So we passed those around, so you guys go have one.
They're really cute.
Mr. Kirchner, anything to add?
I got to go to a grant writing workshop, which was, I'm all about that stuff. That's pretty cool. So got some great tips, some great action. Deanna and I went, so
It was great.
it was a wonderful workshop. So I'm looking forward to writing some grants. It's gonna be pretty good.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
We need to divide and conquer.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's several that are just really awesome.
Yeah, and there's just like, there's free for the taking, like, I think going into it, it's a little bit intimidating and whatnot because you don't know where to look and when they start, when they open up, when they close. But this lady, she just like handed it up, everything, like just gave it to us, like all her secrets or tips or tricks, like she's gonna be getting some competition.
And Thursday night, she talked to a bunch of us after it was over and gave us a few other tricks I'll have to share with you.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
It was in Billings.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Jen?
So
because I was notified Friday, it didn't make it to my board report, but the elementary district for special monitoring is officially closed. So we passed. So how it works is we have to do corrections on any errors that they find. And then OPI picks files at random to make sure that we actually show that we know what we're doing once they tell us there's a finding. And so the elementary district is done. The high school will close before school's out because we have a few things we have to do so we can show that we know what we're doing at the high school district. So I'm proud of the elementary staff for getting that completed. So one less thing to worry about.
Good job.
Thank you. Mr. O. Okay, it's been a busy month working on staffing, scheduling for next year. Quite a few small group. I divided up large group, small group admin meetings. Been reviewing and implementing policies, attendance, therapy animal, newly adopted policies, assemblies, so forth. Just working on all those. We've been discussing here too. Career fairs have been going on. And then also looking at quite a few apps, reviewing some new technology apps. The Rooms one, Emergent 3 is a safety one, Frontline, and Tyler for securing subs. So just looking at a little bit more safety possibilities, and then that communication one with the Rooms that Evan's been getting out for everybody and really done a good job setting things up for us. And then looking into streamlining some ways to secure substitutes. And then finalizing the 25-26 master schedule for the calendar survey, got that out, and survey will close the end of this week. And then we've had, like you guys know, a couple meetings with the out-of-district student application, reviewing those, put in some long hours on those. Everybody has, Chris included with the admin folks. And then building facility needs been submitted. Going through Robert for next year, so kind of big projects and then smaller ones too. I know he's been knocking quite a few things out, been hearing some really good things from the principals about their buildings taken care of. And then next week we have 2 days, 2 different meetings set aside for handbook reviews. Principal's been doing some of that. Ryan's been working on some of those too. So we're gonna narrow some of that down and clean some of those up and get those prepared early this year. And then on, I guess it's still a professional note, I completed my Montana law class. So heading into the School of Finance coming up soon.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And with that,